We might be witnessing a once-in-a-generation type of player with Angel Reese, and it's not in a good way. This might be, honestly, one of the worst offensive players around the rim that I have seen in my entire existence of watching basketball. Bloopy, this is bad news, Bears. It was so bad that the head coach of the Atlanta Dream, Carl Smesko, had to sit her down late.
Atlanta Dream supporters came into the night expecting a huge statement performance and a perfect home debut. Instead, what unfolded in the second half felt like total basketball chaos unfolding in real time. By the final quarter, the energy inside the arena had completely shifted as mistakes piled up and frustration started taking over. Angel Reese delivered one of the strangest and most unpredictable stat lines fans had seen in a long time, to the point where people online were double-checking the box score just to believe it. But then the game took an even more shocking turn. Once Reese was taken out late in the matchup, Atlanta suddenly started moving with more rhythm, more speed, and far better chemistry on both ends of the floor. The offense looked cleaner, the defense looked more aggressive, and the momentum instantly changed. That raised the question nobody expected to ask after this game. Was this simply an off night for a star player, or did the Dream unknowingly reveal a deeper issue hiding beneath the surface?
Yeah, this might be the worst game of Angel Reese's career. An absolute disaster. That's not saying again that Angel Reese has been terrible for the Atlanta Dream, or she is terrible in general, but like, this was a really bad game. This was a really bad game. Like, I would say, if you're asking me for what is Angel Reese's worst game, it's between this.
Before we get any deeper into this, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story only gets crazier from here. Fans packed the arena expecting a massive opening night showcase in Atlanta, but the mood changed fast once the game started unraveling. Between Angel Reese forcing risky passes into heavy traffic and the Dream suddenly playing with noticeably more energy after she went to the bench, the excitement inside the building quickly turned into pure disbelief.
Let's talk about real quick that Aces and Dream game from this afternoon. An absolute tragic game for Angel Reese. Just 9 points, 8 boards, 8 turnovers, and I believe 1 of 9 shooting, or 1 of 8 shooting. Absolutely terrified to attack Asia Wilson. The team goes on a run with you sitting on the bench while being shorthanded. Medina Okott is looking like she's perhaps the superior option.
What was supposed to be a spotlight moment for the franchise's main attraction gradually transformed into a full-blown crisis, as fans watched Atlanta put together its strongest stretch of the game right after their biggest star was taken off the court.
Couple of headliners this afternoon, and you and Asia Wilson, what's your mentality entering that individual matchup?
I mean, just playing my game and knowing what I do best, but also knowing her game a lot. I've watched her game a lot. She's obviously a great player. She's the MVP for a reason, but I know I'm also a great player too, and I can guard her well.
The Atlanta Dreamers are quickly figuring out what the Chicago Bravado have known all along. The Dreamers are figuring out why the Chicago Bravado were so eager to trade the matriarch of me-bounds.
And what made the whole situation even crazier was the fact that Atlanta nearly completed the comeback regardless. That's what turned the night into total chaos. For most of the game, the Dream looked overwhelmed, out of sync on offense, and completely unable to keep up with the Las Vegas Aces. Then out of nowhere, everything changed once the fourth quarter rotation was adjusted, and the entire momentum of the game suddenly shifted.
And these Angel Reese topics will never be boring to me. There always some sort of agenda and narrative around Angel Reese, and I ain't gonna lie, Angel Reese, she brings out the stars. I see all the celebs at the Atlanta Dream games. I see the franchise boys lean with it, rock with it in the middle of the half court. Oh yeah, because Angel Reese is in town. We about to shut it down as she faced off against Asia Wilson. I'm assuming some of those people were in attendance to see Asia Wilson, as she is a person of the African American.
The defense suddenly became more aggressive, the offense finally started flowing with purpose, and easy transition points began showing up out of nowhere. Even the crowd came back to life. life as the arena energy completely shifted. But while Atlanta was making its push, Angel Reese was watching from the bench. That visual alone instantly sparked debate because nobody expected the player promoted as the face of the franchise to be off the floor during the team's most important stretch of the night. And somehow, the numbers made the situation look even worse. Reese finished with 9 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and a staggering 8 turnovers while making just 1 field goal on 8 shots. It was the kind of stat line that had fans staring at their phones wondering if the box score had glitched. 8 turnovers from a forward is almost unheard of. That usually happens to ball-dominant guards running every possession, not a front court player struggling to find rhythm. It felt less like a normal bad game and more like complete basketball mayhem unfolding in real time. The reaction online exploded almost instantly. Social media turned into a non-stop roast session as every missed shot and every mistake became another viral moment. With each failed possession, the frustration only grew louder.
There was a point where Angel got a defensive stop on Asia, poked the ball away, and she ran and she had a wide open layup to the rim. Pow just kind of takes it up, kind of doesn't even look off. Angel just retreats to the corner. Then she does a good job and doesn't start pouting. But like, I could imagine if you're a big person and you run the floor and your team doesn't give you, the ball, you're eventually going to stop defending. That's just the human psychology there. She had a tragic game. She had, and I think the reason the 8 turnovers for Angel Reese is so bad is because she does not actually handle the ball.
At certain moments, it genuinely felt like the basket wanted nothing to do with her. Every attempt at attacking the rim looked awkward and out of control, like the offense was fighting itself possession after possession, and that is where the situation starts becoming a real concern for Atlanta. The conversation around Angel Reese has never centered on hustle or intensity because nobody doubts how hard she competes. She crashes the boards, plays with toughness, brings emotion, and never shies away from physical basketball. But the offensive limitations are becoming harder and harder to overlook. Opposing defenses already understand the formula. Give her a little space, cut off the driving lanes, force her into crowded paint touches, and the offense often falls apart from there. The half-court execution starts stalling, possessions become messy, and turnovers begin piling up quickly. Every time the Dream seemed ready to regain control, another mistake handed momentum right back away. And against a team like the Las Vegas Aces, that is a dangerous game to play. Veteran teams know exactly how to capitalize on sloppy execution, and the Aces have built a reputation on punishing every weakness opponents show them. This is still a championship-level roster loaded with experience, confidence, and elite talent. Give them extra opportunities and they will make you pay for it almost every single time.
Because that girl, Okott, oh yeah, she's better than you. How long is it going to be until Medina Okott steps into the starting lineup in place of Angel Reese, or does Carl Smesko have his barking orders that he simply can't undermine? The Atlanta Dream almost came back. They went on a 22 run late in the fourth quarter and almost came back to win.
Every careless turnover quickly turned into easy offense for Las Vegas. One bad possession after another allowed the Aces to speed the game up and push Atlanta further into panic mode. And then there was Angel Wilson, who played with the intensity of someone refusing to let her team lose under any circumstances. Every defensive play she made seemed to fire up the entire bench. Loose balls, blocked shots, and forced misses instantly became momentum swings, and with every failed Atlanta possession near the rim, the Aces only grew more confident. But despite how messy the night looked, the Dream somehow managed to make things interesting late in the fourth quarter, and that is what made the game so intriguing. The rally did not begin because Angel Reese suddenly took control. It started because the supporting cast stepped up and handled the gritty work. Medina Okott came off the bench and completely changed the pace of the game. She brought physicality, attacked the glass hard, defended with energy, and finished plays around the basket with far more consistency. Almost instantly, Atlanta looked stronger, more aggressive, and much more connected on both ends of the floor. That is when the uncomfortable conversation started becoming impossible to avoid, because now the question hanging over Atlanta is one nobody expected this early in the season. What happens if Medina Okott continues to outperform Angel Reese when the game gets tight? That is where things become complicated for the coaching staff, because in professional sports, decisions are rarely just about basketball alone.
Time of the Angel Reese lowlights. The Angel Reese lowlights. It is that time of the year again. It is that time of the year again where Angel Reese has one of the worst games of her career and her lowlights go viral. And we gotta be real just talking about how Angel Reese has played this year. We have to talk in general about how she's...
There is far more attached to a star player than just what happens on the court. Expectations from fans, major marketing campaigns, television exposure, ticket sales, and franchise branding all become part of the equation. Sitting a highly promoted centerpiece in favor of a role player may improve the lineup in the moment, but it also creates headlines and controversy the organization has to deal with afterward. At the same time, coaches are judged by results above everything else. If a certain lineup starts working, they pay attention immediately. And if the team suddenly looks more organized and effective, that becomes impossible to ignore. During Atlanta's late game surge, the offense flowed better, possessions looked cleaner, and the team appeared more comfortable without Angel Reese forcing difficult plays through heavy traffic. That was not just a talking point anymore. Fans watched the shift happen live. The Dream stormed back into the game and nearly pulled off an incredible comeback against Las Vegas before Chelsea Gray stepped in and completely settled things down, like a veteran closer taking control of the final act. Her composure and execution slammed the door right when Atlanta had finally built momentum, which made the loss feel even more painful after fighting all the way back. But once the final buzzer sounded, the conversation was never really about Chelsea Gray. All eyes immediately turned back to Angel Reese.
I would say probably between this and the Liberty last year. The Liberty was like comically bad. They lost by 40 and she got swatted 4 times with John Quill in one play. This one's different. This one was different. This was a close game that I'm not saying she lost him the game. We're not going that far because Angel did nearly make a huge play. Like, she made a absolutely massive play down the stretch to get an offensive board and then kick it out to...
When a player is presented as the future face of a franchise, every disappointing performance instantly becomes a major story. That comes with the territory of being a sports superstar. Role players can have bad nights without much attention, but stars get analyzed from every angle, and Angel Reese has become one of the biggest conversation pieces in women's basketball, drawing attention from both supporters and critics every single game. The challenge for Reese is that the expectations surrounding her continue rising, while parts of her offensive game still look unfinished. Fans can live with missed shots here and there because every player struggles sometimes, but concern starts growing when the same issues keep showing up repeatedly. The finishing near the basket remains unreliable, the turnovers continue stacking up, and the offensive decisions can look rushed under pressure. Defenses are beginning to recognize those weaknesses and attack them aggressively, which is where things can become dangerous for a young star's confidence. At several points in the game, Atlanta's offense completely lost its flow whenever possessions became crowded around Reese in traffic, and as usual, social media wasted no time turning the performance into a non-stop roast session. Some fans joked that she looked like she was trying to finish layups with oven mitts on. Others laughed that the Rim deserved Defensive Player of the Year after surviving all the missed attempts near the basket. One viral comment even claimed Atlanta accidentally organized a construction project instead of a basketball game because of all the bricks being thrown up throughout the night.
So Angel Reese, she's pretty much up to Angel Reese things. And what do I mean by that? Angel Reese will bring the attention, but can she bring wins to the Atlanta Dream? Now, before you guys even ask me, what does this mean and why are articles like this being released? It is because Angel Reese brings so much attention to where, like, when you're sitting courtside, man, you have to be honest with yourself. She doesn't have the skill set that truly makes you root for her because of it.
But underneath all the jokes and online reactions, there is a much bigger basketball question starting to take shape. Can Angel Reese develop enough offensive efficiency to truly justify a long-term franchise centerpiece role? Because at this level, rebounding and effort alone cannot quiet the criticism forever. Energy is valuable, but it does not fix repeated offensive struggles. The WNBA is evolving fast every season. The talent pool is deeper, the pace is quicker, and more players are arriving already equipped with polished perimeter skills, shot creation, and efficient scoring ability. Pure hustle and personality are no longer enough. to carry a player through every situation. Fair or not, Reese is now being measured against that rising standard. And in today's media environment, every nationally televised game instantly turns into a debate topic. That late game benching quickly became the headline, and the team's improved run, without her on the floor, only intensified the discussion. To make things even more complicated, some Atlanta fans began quietly wondering if the offense actually operates more smoothly with different front court combinations. That is never an easy conversation when the player in question is supposed to be the face of the franchise. What made it even more noticeable was how Medina Okott performed in comparison. She did not just look solid on the stat sheet, she looked composed and intentional. Every time down the floor, she rebounded with force, finished through contact, and avoided the rushed, chaotic possessions that had hurt Atlanta earlier. Coaches tend to trust consistency, especially in high-pressure moments when every possession matters.
There is a reason that I gave them that name, as you just saw in the clip. Angel Reese is filled with false bravado. Part of me actually admires her self-confidence. AJ Wilson is the MVP, but look at me, my game is great. I know what some of you are probably thinking. I saw a lot of comments yesterday on Twitter.
And when your backup center ends up being the one steadying the entire team while the star watches from the sideline, people are going to talk about it. Still, one rough. Performance doesn't erase a whole season or define a player's career. That part is important to remember. Angel Reese is young, extremely popular, and still very much in the growth phase of her game. A lot of great players had early struggles before, eventually turning into stars. The difference now is that everything happens under a spotlight. Growth is no longer private. Every mistake turns into clips, every inefficient night becomes a full-blown debate, and every questionable stretch gets broken down across social media and TV panels. For Atlanta, a nationally televised matchup in a packed arena was supposed to be about building momentum and showcasing their roster early in the season. Instead, the conversation afterwards shifted completely to rotations, offensive struggles, and whether the team unintentionally found a more effective lineup during crunch time. That is far from the ideal storyline for a franchise trying to sell optimism. Meanwhile, the Las Vegas Aces left the floor looking exactly like a veteran contender is, expected to look composed, disciplined, and ready for big moments without forcing anything outside their identity.
And is there an improvement? Has there been improvement in Angel Reese's game since her rookie year? Yes, there has. There has been improvement in certain aspects, but there's been no improvement in the one aspect that people are like, how the fuck are you a pro player and you can't do this? And it's taking layups. And part of it is Angel Reese's fault. Because there's no way that she has had multiple trainers. There's no way that there has been multiple trainers that have taught Angel Reese to take layups.
Even when Las Vegas showed brief moments of instability, they never truly looked rattled. That's the difference with championship caliber teams. They play with patience, trust their veterans, trust their system, and wait for opponents to break under pressure, rather than forcing the issue. Chelsea Gray delivered the decisive blow with composure of a player who has closed out countless high-stakes games, while Aja Wilson controlled the paint like it was completely off limits. The Aces didn't even need a flawless night to remind everyone why experience at the highest level is so dangerous. Atlanta, on the other hand, left the floor with far more uncertainty than confidence. What should have been a feel-good home opener slowly turned into a night full of uncomfortable questions, especially as the Dream's late surge looked more organized. Without Angel Reese on the court, that's where things get tricky, because now the coaching staff has to decide whether this was just an off night or a sign of deeper offensive concerns starting to surface. The reality is Atlanta was inches away from completely flipping the narrative. If that comeback had been completed, the story would have been about resilience and fight Rather than turnovers, missed opportunities, and late game lineup changes, the entire perception of the game could have shifted in an instant, but Chelsea Gray shut that door with trademark veteran precision. And just like that, the Dream were left stuck in a conversation that nobody in the organization wanted this early in the season, because if Atlanta continues to look more fluid in crucial moments without Reese initiating the offense, the pressure around this team is only going to intensify moving forward.